What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Tuesday, September 19th, 2023, and I have some breaking news to share with you guys. Right now, it is 3:25 p.m. Eastern Time here in the United States, and we had the meeting of NATO defense ministers just wrap up in Ramstein Air Base in Germany, and the U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin urged allies to dig deep to provide more air defense and artillery for Ukraine. We also have some breaking news coming from Mexico. Apparently, a Chinese defense ministry attaché is going to be going to Mexico this weekend from Wednesday through Sunday to celebrate Mexico's Independence Day. So there was the meeting of defense ministers today in Ramstein, and I want to read to you what the Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin said. So this is coming from the Associated Press. Okay, I'm reading this to you from the Associated Press. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin urged Allied defense leaders on Tuesday to dig deep and provide more air defense systems for Ukraine to help the country wage its counteroffensive, even as debate grows in Congress over aid to Kyiv. But while the Allies said that they will discuss how they can help boost Ukraine's counteroffensive, they appeared no closer to commitments on longer-range missiles than Kyiv's leaders insist they need, as they struggle to retake land gained by Russia earlier in the conflict. Air defense is saving lives, Austin said. I urged allies and partners to dig deep and donate whatever air defense munitions they can as Ukraine heads into another winter of war. Okay, so he's really emphasizing air defense, okay? He added that he also challenged the ministers to go back and look into their stockpiles of 155 millimeter ammunition to make sure the group is doing all it can to prepare Ukraine for the winter. So, asking for basically artillery ammunition. 155 millimeter is the shells that they use for the big artillery, the howitzers. Okay, so that's the largest artillery shells that Ukraine is using. So they need more artillery and air defense, according to Lloyd Austin, which is not going to help Ukraine win the war. All that's going to do is just kind of drag it out more. And notice he's saying that he wants them to survive another winter, but not to win. Okay. And so it's very suspicious how the U.S. is just always giving Ukraine just barely enough what they need. It's almost like they're giving them just enough to drag the war on and keep it going, for whatever reason. I don't know what the reason is. You can, figure that out for yourself. But I just find it very strange that, the U.S. and NATO, with all of its capabilities, is barely giving Ukraine anything besides artillery and a few cruise missiles, So that just doesn't make sense to me. And it's almost like it's being done intentionally. That's just my opinion. I'm not saying that that's true. You can make up your own mind about that. Pretty interesting there. And we also had the Canadian Defense Minister make a comment during the meeting, and he said that NATO leaders are discussing new and important ways to help bolster the ongoing counteroffensive. So that's pretty interesting. Not sure what he means by new and important, but looks like they're going back to the drawing table because for whatever reason, Ukraine is not making the big breakthroughs like everybody thought they were going to make. They're making gains, no doubt, but they haven't split the land bridge. They haven't made this massive push like everybody was expecting. Want to just share this video with you guys. This was sent to me by a subscriber, and this was in Douglas, Georgia. And you can see this huge amount of U.S. military equipment being moved on train And I don't know if this is going to Europe. Maybe this was the equipment that was put on that C5 Galaxy that I showed you guys the flight path of yesterday. But what's interesting about this train here is, number one, most of the vehicles have woodland camouflage. Okay, so that means they're definitely destined for Europe, because you're not going to send vehicles with woodland camouflage to the Middle East. And this looks like it could be a Patriot missile support vehicle, maybe a command vehicle. They have all these different support vehicles for the Patriot system. Um, and we also have a lot of medical vehicles here on this train. Lots of Humvees and medical vehicles. Okay, so we're just going to go through this slowly here. So you can see most of the vehicles have woodland camo, and lots of Humvees, lots of utility trucks. But you'll see here in a second that there's a ton of medical vehicles. Okay, here's one right there. You can see that red cross. And let's see, a fuel truck right there. Another medical vehicle, third medical vehicle, fourth medical vehicle, fifth, sixth. Let's see if there's any more here. The Humvees, bunch of Humvees here. And that's pretty much it. So 6 medical vehicles. So this is a massive amount of equipment. And this person told me that they barely just caught a glimpse of it. They turned their phone on and started filming at the last like third of the train, So there was a whole lot more. So I don't know if this is going to Europe, if this was on that C5 Galaxy. And I want to also share something that a subscriber sent to me. This was in Baltimore, in Maryland, somewhere on I-95. And here we have a flatbed trailer pulling some kind of infantry fighting vehicle. But what's interesting is this is not a U.S. infantry fighting vehicle. Okay, the one that we have does not look like this at all. This actually looks like a Finnish Patria vehicle, based on the shape of the hull. Okay, so this is very, very interesting. I'm not sure why a Finnish infantry fighting vehicle would be in Baltimore. I mean, we have Fort Meade nearby. Nearby Baltimore, Fort Meade is a highly secretive base. And here you can see another picture here of this infantry fighting vehicle. You can see the main gun there, and the shape of it just looks like a Finnish Patria. So very interesting. And you can also see these jets back here, or I don't know what you call them. It basically helps in amphibious use. It's a propeller. That's the word I'm looking for. You can see a propeller here. U.S. infantry fighting vehicles, as far as I know, don't have propellers on them. So this looks like a Finnish Patria. Very interesting. We had a U.S. reconnaissance plane conduct a mission in the Russian Arctic near Russia's northern fleet. This is where Russia has 2/3 of their nuclear-armed submarines. And so this is an RC-135 rivet joint, and you can see that it was flying around the Kola Peninsula last night and early this morning. So very interesting there. NATO is continuing to monitor the Russian Arctic and the Russian Northern Fleet. And we also have some concerning information that China is sending a military delegation to Mexico to participate in a Mexican Independence Day celebration. And they're going to stay there for 5 days. Okay, so let me read this article to you. A Chinese military delegation will pay a 5-day trip to Mexico this week, Beijing said on Monday. In a statement, the Chinese Defense Ministry said the delegation of the People's Liberation Army will visit the North American country from Wednesday to Sunday. The visit came at the invitation of the Mexican Defense Ministry to attend the celebration of the 213th anniversary of Mexico's independence. Mexico will mark its Independence Day on Saturday. Okay, and if I do my math correctly, is that not 9/23/23? Is that Saturday, 4 days from now? So on 9/23/23, Chinese Defense Ministry delegation is going to be going to Mexico. Okay, very, very concerning. We also have some concerning information that Chinese President Xi Jinping has recently inspected the Chinese military's combat readiness. Okay. So that's pretty concerning with all of these tanks being moved in China towards Taiwan. They moved probably hundreds of tanks to one of the ports near Taiwan. And then the other day, China sending a record number of airplanes to Taiwan, 103 airplanes to Taiwan. Absolutely insane. So things are really escalating around the world. And here's Lloyd Austin's doomsday plane. It just took off about, I think, 2 hours ago from Ramstein. So he's heading back. And we have a lot of VIP movements going on. Here we have a Polish Marine One that went from Ramstein to Warsaw. Most likely the Polish defense minister was on this plane. And this was earlier in the morning. And here we have a Constant Phoenix plane. This is a nuclear sniffer plane, can detect radiation in the atmosphere. And it just came back from Okinawa, Japan. This is the one that they were using to keep an eye on North Korea a few days ago when they were thinking that North Korea was going to do a nuclear test. So they were flying this thing around the Sea of Japan. I want to just mention something to you guys about this F-35 that went missing. I want to double down on my initial hypothesis of this whole situation. And I'm pretty much 100% convinced that this was a test of artificial intelligence on that F-35. And I think what happened was they uploaded an artificial intelligence program into this F-35, and they wanted to do a real world test. If the pilot separates from the plane, can the plane continue to fly on its own with the AI? And so I think this was all a big test, and they purposely ejected from that F-35. And then the goal of the test was for the artificial intelligence program to continue to fly the plane on its own and then maybe land it somewhere. Maybe it didn't go according to plan. It didn't fly the right way, or it didn't land on its own like they wanted it to. Because I have a friend of mine that works in the flight industry, and my friend told me that you can't just eject out of a plane if it's on autopilot. Okay, the official story is that, yeah, the F-35 was on autopilot and he ejected. First of all, why would you be flying a fighter jet, especially a stealth fighter, the most expensive fighter jet ever made? Okay, why would you be flying one on autopilot? I've never heard of fighter pilots flying on autopilot. It just doesn't make sense. And second of all, you cannot eject from a plane while it's on autopilot. And that's what my friend told me. So a lot of things don't add up with this story. And I personally believe they were testing AI on this F-35 because they've already said that they want to make the B-21 Raider an autonomous nuclear bomber. Okay, the B-21 Raider is supposed to replace the B-2 Spirit. Okay, which is our current nuclear bomber, stealth bomber. And the B-21 Raider is basically almost identical to the B-2, with the exception that the B-21 is going to be autonomous. Okay, so they can put a pilot in it if they want to, but it can be autonomous. It can fly itself and adjust to changing conditions in the field. Okay, because during a nuclear war, things change. And if you have an autonomous nuclear bomber, it needs to be able to change its course and readjust its targeting information, maybe hit different targets. So they want these nuclear bombers to be able to do that by themselves in case command and control gets wiped out and they can't remotely pilot that nuclear bomber anymore, or there's no pilots, or whatever the situation is. They want these nuclear bombers to basically fly on their own and drop bombs on targets and be able to adjust in the field, make course corrections, make changes to targeting, and fly to different targets on its own. Okay. And so we know that artificial intelligence is already here for consumers. So if consumers already have it, if the average Joe like me and you already have AI, imagine what, DARPA and the DoD have. Okay, they probably had this for decades already. Okay, just think about Terminator with Skynet. Okay, they released that movie in the 80s, and we know that Hollywood always predicts things. Okay, so anyway, guys, I'm going to keep you updated. I might do another update later on this evening on the situation in Azerbaijan. I might go live tonight. I'm not 100% sure yet, but if I do go live, you will see a notification for that. So make sure you have the bell notification icon selected so you can get notified when I do uploads and when I go live. And other than that, take care, God bless, and don't forget the 3 Ps: prepare, practice, and persevere.